Good evening. Welcome to a special edition of the International Grapevine. This is your host, Wallingford Lee. Tonight on International Grapevine, we're going to put the spotlight of all places on Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. This Chamber of Commerce is probably one of the best Chamber of Commerce in the United States of America in terms of service in the community. Matter of fact, they cover all of Long Island, which is Nassau County, Suffolk County, and a good portion of Kings County, which belongs to Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan. All of this have taken place because of a fantastic gentleman that they have as president of this Chamber of Commerce, who has put this Chamber of Commerce on the map. It essentially is a hard-working man that doesn't have a reverse transmission. All ahead, he has done a lot of creative things over at the Chamber of Commerce. It gives us a great deal of pleasure and satisfaction to have him as a special guest. I'm talking about Mr. Phil Andrews, who previously was the president of 100 Black Men in Long Island. And luckily for the Chamber of Commerce, he was recruited and has brought his skills and advances over to this prestigious place. Mr. Andrews, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. We heard fantastic things about you, so we wanted to take this opportunity to work with you a little bit to know some of the accomplishments and the things that you have done over there. How did you get started in the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, very much like Obama, I was term limited. I did 2 terms as president of the 100 Black Men of Long Island, and I was maxed out like the president of the United States. And I got a phone call and said, "Would you like to be the president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce?" And that's how it all started.
That must have been when you got the call. Do you realize what a big challenge it was? Because at the time before you joined, the Chamber of Commerce was doing good, but not executed with things that you have put ahead of time. So did you realize the challenge that you was walking into at the time?
Yes, I had been in the 100 Black Men since I was 25 years old, under the leadership of brigadier generals, colonels in the military,
Wow.
Millionaires that ran 30 million companies from companies such as General Motors franchises. So I was duly equipped. You know, one of the things is you have to be prepared for opportunity, and preparation was already put in place for the last 25 years to put me in this position. And I also, in the 100 Black Men back then, you had to work your way up in positions. You had to be on a low pole, you had to be a committee chair, then you had to run another program, a chair of a committee. You didn't just go from committee to the president. So I had the patience and served under 6 phenomenal leaders, and each one of them I learned something from.
That's ironic. I think, as a matter of fact, when you were over 100 Black Men, we had the opportunity to speak on the phone, but we never met personally. We talked a long time ago, which at the time I was working as senior vice president for Banco Popular for the last 20 years, and we met over the phone, but we never got together until now. Well, it's better late than never. What would you say is the main focus of the Chamber of Commerce right now?
Well, the Chamber of Commerce is really all about creating success for the small business owner. And we believe at the Chamber, if there's no business being successful, then we're not a successful Chamber of Commerce. And as you know, the Chamber of Commerce is one of the most well-known organizations in the country, and one of the oldest organizations in the country. And in fact, almost every American, when they move to a town and they want to know what's going on, they call the Chamber of Commerce. And like in the Chamber, you also call when you need a plumber, when you need an electrician, when you need to know how to access government contracts. We are that go-to organization.
Oh, that obviously that's saying something. How were you able to turn it around? When you went into the Chamber of Commerce, you know, like I said, you paid your dues over the 100 Black Men, and you were called into this. What was your primary focus when you first got there in terms of growing business and growing business for minorities? It is no secret sometimes for minorities to get business from banks is extremely difficult. Some cases is poor preparation, and the other time, you know, some banks are a little bit tend to discriminate against Latinos, on Black and stuff like that. How were you able to turn that around and to get things moving in the right direction?
Well, one of the things that we do is we bring access to the Chamber of Commerce. One of we follow the five pillars of the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce: access to capital, entrepreneurial training, procurement, and chamber development. So we knew that if we focused on getting the network, also the network is very important. You know, most chambers of commerce can't get 20 people out to a meeting. For the last couple of years, we have 80 people coming to a meeting almost every month, and they're different people. So when you build that network, right, a lot of things start happening. And one of the things that we've done over the years is that we've done a boot camp, small business boot camp with the State University of Westbury. We partnered with educational institutions because you know they got a school of business management.
Yes,
So
they
you got
do.
a school,
Yes,
you
they
got
do.
a school, you got a school of business management coming to work with the Chamber of Commerce. We can enhance the businesses. We've even brought New York City Small Business Services to Long Island for our conference at Westbury. We did a chamber, regional chamber business development where we brought all the chambers together to develop the chamber. Because a part of our premise is you can't have strong businesses without a strong chamber of commerce.
Well, no question about it. I would imagine at the beginning to start that networking, which is extremely important, and you've done a fantastic job in that, getting all the pieces together and assemble them with programs and what have you. How difficult it was to network at the beginning?
Well, I don't know if you know, some of my background is I'm known as a master networker, and I've been doing networking events for some 20-something years in New York. And by a former magazine, New York Business Magazine had named me one of the top business networkers in the region prior
Very
to
good.
coming to the chamber.
All right, let's talk a little bit. I want to talk to some of the pillars that you talk about before, but one of the things I want to get to, as the Black business grown a lot in the Long Island area, let's say Suffolk County and Nassau County in the last 5 or 10 years?
I think it has grown tremendously because the chamber itself is that body. We are known as the largest African American chamber of commerce in the state, and
Wow.
prior to that, there was nobody looking at a large African American chamber. And on top of that, last year, you may not know, I was awarded the Small Business Champion for 14 counties from downstate by the Small Business Administration, the New York
Excellent.
District Office of 26 Federal Plaza. That's one of the most prestigious awards in the country.
That's excellent. That's excellent. It's good to know that the Black businesses have grown somewhat. How it has been for them in terms of getting lending from the various banks them out in that area, because we talked about a little bit how difficult that can be. Because part of the problem is to get a loan from a bank, the bank use five credits or 5 philosophy: character, capacity, condition. And if you don't meet some of these things, such as your character, your condition, and stuff like that, you're not going to get a loan for them. Then we get into the aspect of cash flow, where these businesses, would they have the capacity to pay the loan that they're looking for, and what type of loan they're looking for. What are some of the things that they hit the wall on, and how positive or helpful was the chamber in those cases?
Well, one of the things that we did, we partnered with the Small Business Development Center in Farmingdale, and we did an access to capital event. And as you know, in this particular crisis with COVID and everything that was going on, one of the things it taught us is to learn how to access capital before you need it. So we want to make that an ongoing process, really bring some banks together and let them fill out the workshop. Let them get them, even if they're not applying today, let them know how the bank is. So a lot of times we go into the bank and we're not prepared. So, but the chamber's job is to work with banking institutions and get them a workshop. Let the banks know to our members, like, this is what you need. This is how you qualify. These are the things you need. Do you need inventory? Somebody said you don't need inventory or something to back up a loan. You need something to back it up. You need some cash or some equipment because you got to pay that back. They got to have some security that you have a way to pay. So we wanted to do more workshops like that because we feel that this crisis has taught us one thing: don't wait till a crisis to get all the knowledge that you need.
I agree with you 100%. I imagine those presentation tend to open up the eyes of small business guys in terms of how to present things to a bank, on how to go. And I'm sure the chamber guide them a whole lot in most cases as to the preparation. These seminars that you give, is this on a monthly basis, or every 3 months, or every 6 months?
Well, we're constantly bringing all different type of resources to the chamber on a regular basis. We do things like bringing teaching people about putting people on the books. You know, if they got government contracts, they got to have certain procedures. So we are ongoing training organization, and we also work with a lot of resources. I don't know if you know, but there's an entrepreneurial assistance programs in New York where the New York State funds these organizations in Hofstra University, Suffolk, and QEDC. There's an EAP center in Harlem and Manhattan in the boroughs. Our tax dollars is paying to get you help for business. So what happens eventually, you know, when business succeeds, it pays government taxes. So the government is behind the small business owner. So we don't try to be everything, but we're still substantial because a lot of times the community is not aware of the resources. You know, I mean, we make the Small Business Administration say, come on by our community. We want them to come into East New York, come into lower socioeconomic community. But, you know, as you know, the chamber is an advocate too, because if nobody's advocating for the resources to come to the community, they will not come to the community. So that's
Good to know. That's good to know. I know the SBA play a big part in getting loans and startup. But having said that, the SBA is a type of lender that live and die by collateral. You know, we will make you a loan, but what's going to secure that loan? Sometimes they want to take a lien on your house. Sometimes they want to take a lien on the business, and rightfully so. In other words, what the SBA look for is participation in you. You want a loan? I'll give you the loan, but I want you to be part of the risk that I'm going to take. The SBA continue to work like that, one. Two, if the SBA does not give a borrower a loan, how do you come in to find other resources for them to get a loan?
Well, one of the things, there's a lot of other secondary lenders. There's lenders like Accion, there's smaller banks. So what we try to do is we work with a variety of organizations, and some, as you know, like the smaller financial lenders kind of like could be more patient, and they could work with somebody for a year that come into the door, and then they be ready at the end of 12 months. So sometimes like they may have plans, you have plans to expand, you can't expand right away. So it may take a longer period of time. And I also want to talk a little bit more about the SBA. A lot of people don't know they do more than just that. They do counseling, they do access to capital, and they also help you with procurement. So a lot of things, that's a whole lot right there. When one agency is doing, if you get the counseling and you get the capital and you get the procurement, you probably could make a lot of money.
Do they help some borrowers to put together a business plan? I remember years ago when I was running a few banks them out there, they would send them to certain university to help the borrower put together a business plan with projections and what have you. Does that still exist in the small business area?
Yes, and they also now you can ask them. You can probably go on the SBA and ask them. You could send them a question. Any question you got in your business, you could send them an email, and they'll respond to that email. And they certainly do business plans because that's part of counseling.
Excellent. I know many years ago the SBA set up certain banks them as preferred lenders. A preferred lender, that preferred lender is able to make a decision without going to the SBA. So I imagine that in most cases of small business, you will direct that type of clientele to go to a preferred lender who can give them a quick decision, yay or no, or yes, with some pros and cons. Is that correct?
That is correct. But what we found in the crisis is that the people that had the bank cell phone number was getting more access to the bank. So I think a part of any business's portfolio should have that banker already in place. You should have that accountant. You should have that lawyer. You need a team of expertise before the crisis, because in the crisis, we couldn't hardly get nobody. But if I had a personal relationship with a banker, some bankers we heard called some of the clients to say, hey, we got this money here. So we need a business owner should think about having these people for counsel and in their corner way before crisis time.
Excellent. As we continue here on International Grapevine, talking to the president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. We're going to continue talking about the pros and cons and what a big difference this Chamber of Commerce has made in all area of New York. I'm talking about the 5 boroughs and of course Long Island. They will go anywhere and they're committed. We'll be right back on the International Grapevine as we continue talking to Mr. Phil Andrews. And we're back here in the International Grapevine talking about the Chamber of Commerce, the African American Chamber of Commerce out in Long Island. What a positive thing they have been for business and for the community, and their mentoring. They're lucky to have a gifted person as Mr. Philip Andrew, who has made a big difference. He have taken that Chamber of Commerce up the hill, top to the hills, and have done a wonderful job. We feel pretty privileged to have the opportunity to share some time with him and to find out about the things that he have done out there in Long Island. One of the things that Mr. Andrew would like you to do is to give us the website, so our viewing audience will have the opportunity to have the the name and the phone number out of reach them.
The website for the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce is www.liaacc.org, and we also known by the acronym LIAC.
Excellent, excellent. You know, one of the things that I want to talk about, I know years ago it was very difficult for women on a whole to get into business, especially Black business. What type of difficulties of some of the women, maybe without giving their name, or the business that they had in getting into business before you started running the Chamber of Commerce, and what type of mentoring and help have you given them to move forward? Because we know that Black women business have grown a lot in the last 5 years. So can you give a little talk about that as to what that has been like?
Well, it's been great. I think women make up about 70 to 75% of our Chamber of Commerce. And the statistics is showing that minority women are growing in business. And they have a lot of skills. Women have a lot of skills of nurturing. They take care of things. They know how to multitask. And they're very aggressive. And we listen. One of the things that's very special about our chamber is we try to listen to every member. You know, a chamber could be so big that it doesn't listen to the small business owners. So we kind of we have an ear to where we can help and where we can add value to our members by listening to them.
Well, make no mistake, small business is the backbone of this nation. A lot of people don't realize it. It's important to have small business. They do so much and they are very busy. We're talking about restaurants. We're talking about barbershops. We're talking about cleaning services. We're talking, you name it. And there are small businesses out there making a big difference. And your type of mentoring must have made a big difference, I would think. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you most about is one thing that I read a little bit about the 5 pillars of service. Can you enlighten us a little bit about the pillars and some of the movement and stages of it?
But one of the things we follow the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. That's our national affiliation, and the 5 pillars. It starts up with entrepreneurial training. I believe that many businesses in the chamber already started up, but like all businesses, they had to start somewhere. So there are small businesses and startups. There are people that have skills and abilities and talent, but don't have business training. So when I usually encounter them, the first question I've asked is, have you ever had any business training? Because like you said, just because you could bake cakes, don't mean you could do financial statements.
Again, that's one of the most important things, putting together a business perspective and explaining your business. And those are some of the controversies some guys I've run into with a bank, all right? You never run a baker shop, you never work at a baker, but now you want to start up a baker shop. Who are some of the people behind you that are going to get the job done? And you have to make a presentation with projections. Where are you going to be 2 years from now, 3 years? And sometime in the projection, the bank might call you back and say, oh, that was great if you grow, but what happened if you stay standard? So it's good to have an accountant and somebody that has that background that can help you to put that type of business plan to make a difference. What other pillars, because we talk a little bit about some other pillars of the business.
Well, the second pillar is access to capital. As you know, capital is known to be the lifeblood of business, and it's one of the reasons that many businesses are having a hard time now, because many times the business is undercapitalized.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happened if the business owner capitalized and they go out for a loan? What are some of the things that they confront?
Well, one of the things you confront is how you're going to pay for it. The bank just is not in the business of giving out loans, but they need to know from your books and your record of history that you have enough cash flow to pay, that loan back. So one of the things that is really important about business is about sales. A lot of times we have to find ways to shorten cash flow cycles. We have to find a way to drop down expenses. So that's where the business coming in. When you know the business concept, there's no such thing as a business making the same money every day. Even in this time, people say it's a crisis, but business is always cyclical, right? It's always up and down. It's what we do to make it go up. So I think we have to look at that all the time, that what are we doing today to increase our sales? And we got at the same time, we got to drop down the expenses and drive quality up and profit up.
Well, again, great perspective. A lot of customers are good at doing business, but they don't understand that the bank live and die by cash flow. What is the cash flow in your business? And can your cash flow support the loan that you're looking for? Another thing the bank usually asks you, and they have it right, you're looking for a loan. What is the purpose of the loan? How is it going to be used? A lot of businesses say, I need a working capital loan. Really? Good. How is that going to be used? It's very, very important to know. And also another thing that's very important, and I guess, and that's why an accountant is important, understanding your business cycle when you go out to see a lender, how it works. All business cycles start with cash, but finish with cash also. You buy the product, you make it, you sell it, you get cash coming in, then your expenses and stuff like that. So all of those type of things are key component, and it's good to know that the chamber is involved, because it gives them a great perspective as to how to present their stuff and where to go. What are some of the next 2 other pillars that you can discuss tonight?
Well, another pillar is procurement opportunities. Procurement opportunities are important to the growth of business. As you know, the government spends a lot of money, and we pay into share of taxes. And if we have a duly qualified business, we should be able to bid on contracts, and that creates opportunities and employment, and also helps the underserved communities as we get procurement opportunities.
When you talk a bid on contracts, are you talking about more like this construction loans and stuff like that?
Well, we're talking procurement could be anything. It could mean paper supplies. It could mean office equipment. It could mean construction. Anything that the government buy is a procurement opportunity, because the government is not in the interest of making its own thing. It buys everything from a business.
How important is interest rate to a business when they're looking for a loan?
Well, that's very critical because as you know, is the higher the interest rate, the more the payment on the other end, and the more it takes out the business. So every business seeks favorable interest.
And that's understandable. Also, are most businesses that look for loan are willing to put up additional collateral to support the loan?
Some do. Sometimes they have to equipment. That's portion of the loan that they have to have equipment or something to serve as collateral. And as you know, when a business goes belly up, those things are collateral to get some of the bank's money back.
Of course, because what the bank will do is going to liquidate some of that collateral to get back part of the cash. Sometimes it comes up short, so it's important to know when you're giving a person a loan what type of collateral they're putting up. What are some of the project expectation that the chamber has going forward? Let's say covering the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, one of the things that we believe is a lot of our community needs more technical assistance. It's not the things that you don't know. It's that you know. It's the things that you don't know, because technical skills are sometimes you need different support. Like a banker could show somebody how to put the stuff on paper. So those are the type of things that a business is just in the day-to-day activities. They miss some of the technical things that they need, and that's where they miss the mark and succeed in the business.
So when we talk about projects, what is the most important project for you going forward right now that you had to put your hands on and say, well, this is what I need to do the next 2 years?
Well, what we're looking at is we have a certain number of businesses that are up and running. How can we get them to the next level? As you know, most of the small businesses fail within the first couple of years, but there are
Especially restaurants.
but there are some solid businesses making 100, maybe 150 a year, but they just can't get to that 250, that 300,000, the level where they really start to see success on a level. But we don't want to disregard the small businesses too, because you never know the potential of any business. So I think it's a combination of working with the existing businesses. And also, since we have this network, one of the ways that we increase business sales is to trade within this network.
Yeah, one of the things that I read was an excellent program that the Chamber of Commerce had done with LaGuardia College, which was amazing. My understanding was an outstanding presentation done by the Chamber, and the participation of a lot of folks that went. I'm talking in terms of business people. Some had knowledge and some didn't have that. Can you share with us how that was run and what type of participation that you had or feedback that you had from the folks that went to that class?
Well, one of the things we did a class with Goldman Sachs, preparing them what Goldman Sachs 10,000 does. Because, a lot of businesses, they just need the counseling, and that's the thing, they need to get away from their business for a while, because sometimes you're in it, you're doing it, but you need this technical advice, and you don't take the time to really let somebody look over your shoulder at your business to see where it could be improved. So businesses sometimes have to get outside their office and get some training to get to the next level, because we tend to do the same thing over and over. And sometimes.
I'm sorry. So part of the presentation, Goldman Sachs was there.
Yes, we did a Goldman Sachs introduction to that for the business owners. And as you know, even a lot of our business, maybe 1 or 2 employees, you had to have a certain number of employees. That's why we got to get them. Some training is not afforded to the sole proprietorship. That's why we got to grow some of these companies so they can have access to more training. Just a couple of weeks ago, they was looking for companies that had made $250,000, and they was going to raise equity for them. But a lot of times we look around and we can't find that many of them. So we have to grow the businesses, because there is help, and everybody's looking at it at, if you get past a certain number of years, you're probably a stable business, but you still need technical assistance to get to the next level.
In terms of input, how do you help a company like that in terms of idea how to grow that business?
Well, one of the things that we do is we have done many procurement events. We try to we let them know what's going on with the pipeline, the different agencies. We've even visited the Transit Authority, procurement, PSEG. We also let businesses know like how to get hooked into the pay system. The government is not like us. They don't just pay anybody. You have to tie into the system first. And so even things as simple as that, a business could be established but not know how to access government because they're in the private world, right? So that's part of the job that we do, is helping them access them. And also, a lot of people call us or because they're looking for a certain MWBE certification. They know there's this chamber over here, got these businesses that could do the job. So we want to be known as that organization that the government agencies come to, and because even somebody out of state could do business in New York, but that is, they get a contract over a certain dollar amount, 30% got to be minority, but they can't find that minority. We are that organization.
So again, as we started the program, I talked about the input and the type of involvement that you guys have done and how wonderful it is. Even though you're in Long Island, how much involvement do you have in Brooklyn in creativity to help the Brooklyn and Queens area?
Well, one of the things is we had we had our inaugural event at Borough Hall, Brooklyn Borough Hall, the Borough President's office.
Downtown. Mm-hmm.
We packed the Borough Hall, but you know, it's Brooklyn. You have to. We're gonna really dig our roots in there, because I believe that Brooklyn is going to be our greatest growth. Because we already took a look at the data. Brooklyn has the largest number of African American businesses in the country, and Queens County would come behind that, and then Nassau and Suffolk. So we put all three together, so thereby we could become one of the largest African American chamber of commerce in the nation, because we have the businesses right here in this region to justify it. But we got to expand that network.
Well, make no mistake about it. Brooklyn is a united nation, Caribbeans, Latinos, Black, Jewish, white. Brooklyn is very large. It's, I think it's one of the largest boroughs in the United States of America, probably the fourth or fifth. So I imagine that the demand is in Brooklyn, and your presence and help will make a big difference. No question about that.
And I'm a Brooklyn product too, so I feel comfortable in Brooklyn.
Well, welcome to another Brooklyn kid, but that's very important, you know.
Yeah, Brooklyn Tech graduate, so I have deep roots in Brooklyn. So I'm excited anytime you say Brooklyn, because it's something about where our birthright is, and I'm just excited to be going back to Brooklyn to help.
That's good. That's good to know. Well, you know, Phil, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the family of the Grapevine to let you know that we are extremely happy, thrilled, proud of the job that you have done there, and that the chamber have done, and continued success. And don't stop there, because you have knocked down a lot of doors. You have made a big difference in the entire community. And for that, we're thrilled about it. And we don't have words to thank you for that. We hope that you'll be kind enough down the road to come back to the Grapevine and work with us, because we want to get the word out, not only about what you're doing, but what the chamber is doing also.
Thank you, and I know the importance of media, and we look forward to working with you as a media entity, and whatever financial support we could give in the future, we look forward to working with you.
Well, we certainly look forward to that. And again, thanks for coming aboard, and we hope to work with you down the road real soon, sooner than you think, because we have other things on the map that we want to discuss with you. And you know, this is a big one. We want to get this out to the public in general. No question about that.
Thank you.
All right. Again, this is Wallingford Lee saying good night for the International Grapevine, and hoping that you have had the opportunity to see the show. We hope to see you next week at the same time at the same place. Good night.